Looking for the high sign.
We are good to go. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order at 7:02. Roll call, Commission Member Hendis, I'm here. Commission Member Hines is absent. Commission Member Lucas,
Here.
Commission Member Whitmore,
Here.
Commission Member Alphen.
Here.
Please take notice that the June 8th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting will be held by electronic means pursuant to the continuity of government ordinance effective April 6, 2022, due to the threats posed by the COVID-19 pandemic to the health, safety, and welfare of the public. While some commission members may participate remotely, staff will be present, presenting as normal in the Board of Supervisors meeting room at 150 South Main Street, Lexington, 24450. In addition to citizens attending the meeting in person, citizens have several options to view or participate in the Zoom meeting webinar as described below. We will do our best to take citizen comment remotely. There are two options for citizens to offer comment. One, to join the Rockbridge County Planning Commission Zoom webinar. The link is available on the county website to copy into the address line on your browser. Two, to join by telephone, you may dial into one of the numbers listed on the county website. Webinar ID and password are there for your convenience. Citizens wishing to simply view the meeting live or after the fact can do so on the Rockbridge County Planning Commission YouTube channel, also available on the county website. If you wish to make a citizen comment as a Zoom meeting participant, you will use the raise your hand feature. You can press the raise hand button on the bottom of your Zoom window or press *9 if you are calling in by telephone. At this time, we will proceed with the meeting and we will start with the citizen comments. As a reminder, if you do have a citizen comment, it should be something that is not on the agenda for this evening. Please state your name and your magisterial district and keep your comments to 3 minutes.
The first that signed up is Steve Cantor. Cantor, I believe.
This was regarding the CVE application. Am I allowed to speak about that?
I believe we allow citizen comments on for 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
Yes. Is there a timer?
Yes, sir. We got it up here.
Off the mask. Okay, I'm Steve Cater. You've seen me before. I appreciate the opportunity to speak once more to you all about the CVE application for a solar power plant. And I speak for all my neighbors to request that you recommend denial of the permit. To review, there will be no new jobs created in Rockbridge County from this project. The revenue share that CVE is proposing is a pittance compared to the loss of property value and related tax revenue, the loss of quality of life for the residents, loss of attractiveness to the area for people that might move here, things that really help the economy. We will get none of that from this project. Even if some of the view shed, drainage, and soil and water contamination problems can be mitigated, the problems of rehabilitating the land and decommissioning the array they remain. It's illegal to put lead-laced products into a landfill in Virginia, according to state and county regulations. This 9,500 solar panels at 0.1% lead level, that's over 500 pounds of lead potentially being put in a landfill. It's not legal to do that. The subscribers to this project will save nothing on their electric bills. Dominion has been given permission by the SCC to charge subscribers to their shared solar program $55 a month, minimum electric bill. That's going to overwhelm any 10% discount that any subscriber might make. So I think that needs to be talked about. The solar power produced will only supply about 300 homes. They've been saying 900 homes. If you look at the total kilowatt hour usage in the United States divided by the population, it comes out to about 12,000 kilowatt hours per person per year. If this project produces the energy that other projects of its size produce, it will only produce about 12 million kilowatt hours a year. 12 million divided by 12,000, it's 1,000 people, not homes. So it's an average of 3 persons a home. It's about 300 homes. And those are not likely to even be in Rockbridge County. Dominion is going to send that power wherever they want. And it certainly won't be any of the neighbors adjacent to the project that will be able to even subscribe because we're all on bark. So that's all I have to say. I thank you very much for listening. Appreciate
Thank you,
your
Mr.
time.
Cater.
Next signed up is Cynthia Bromer Cater.
Hi, I've addressed you before and I'm really sorry, but I'm bringing a different issue about this solar project, something that has not been talked about in great length, and that's the noise level. There's going to be 27 inverters and CVE says they're going to be at 69 decibels. So I took a decibel meter out and ran around my little farm and said, okay, my decibels at my house with birds chirping, farm equipment going up and down Mackey's Lane, cars, and the dog barking that's along Mackey's Lane, it still only goes up to 35 or 45. So this is 69. So I thought, okay, I'll go check some other areas. Maybe I just have this wrong. So I went to the Dominion substation on 11 and Wallachman. Theirs is 69 decibels standing outside the fence. That's not close, but outside the fence and right along 11. I also went to I-81 and 712, which is Decatur and near Sunnybrook, and stood right near Interstate 81, and the decibel level there is 69 to 75. So I went to a few other places, Devil's Backbone on their patio. It's 62 to 71. So, you know, that's kind of noisy. So I went outside a friend's home that's right along 81, and it is 65 as the traffic goes back and forth. And then I went into a busy hair salon. Everybody goes into places like that. That's 65. You know how noisy those things are? Okay, so I went and sat on my deck and turned on our 2 overhead fans and sat under that. And just with those rotating, it was 61. So I'm just saying the noise is a problem. So you really do need to think really hard about the noise that you're going to string along our valley. I mean, there's dog barking complaints all the time, you guys, and lawsuits. It was even in the newspaper. So this is just something to think about. I appreciate it if you would deny this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is everyone signed up to speak. Sure. You come up, state your name and magisterial district.
My name is Ed Woodward, 400 Mackey's Lane. This was touched on just briefly at the last meeting. I put in a request for information from VDOT, and that's regarding the traffic on Mackey's Lane. As you're familiar with, it's many blind spots, blind curves, at least 4 within the first mile. The point of sight from where the entrance to this project is to the point of an impact of an accident is 5 seconds at 35 miles an hour heading towards Mackey's Lane. The other thing is there was a traffic survey done in 2020. Now there was another one done in 2022, but VDOT said they don't have to produce it because it's not been reduced to a document yet. That might be available now. My last check was yesterday. I couldn't find it. In 2020, before the wedding venue authorization for the winery was 4,000 cars a week, regular traffic cutting down Mackey's Lane. And this is going to increase at times when the winery has its functions. And I found that to be an extraordinary lot of vehicles. My own observations, there's not that many houses on Mackey's Lane that they're going to. It's a cut through, and it will continue to be a cut through, but 4,000 cars on a regular day in 2020. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one hands raised online. Leanne Walker, I believe it is. If you are muted, but I'll ask you to unmute.
Yes, I think I have unmuted.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you.
State
Yes,
your name and
this is-
magisterial district.
Thank you. This is actually Leanne Gibson on behalf of myself and South.
Ms. Gibson, you were
Continuing to monitor the CV.
Ms. Gibson, you are breaking up and we cannot hear you.
Okay, I am so sorry. We are just wanting to continue monitoring the CVE application and make sure that our local government is responding more to our community than multinational corporations. Thank you.
Perfect. We did hear that tail end.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
ma'am. Next is Philip Edward Bailey.
Is this a phone call or?
I'll ask you to unmute. I'm not sure if I think it's a Zoom link.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. If you could state your name and magisterial district.
I am Gail Bailey and I'm on South River District. And I have put forth my opinion at the last meeting, but we have lived on Mackey's Lane for 22 years and are strongly opposed to these solar panels. I'm asking that you all would please support the residents who have all expressed their opposition to this proposal as you vote. And just wanted to remind you of our stand. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Ms.
ma'am.
Bailey.
That is everyone with their hands raised and that is it.
Okay. So we are going on to the approval of the minutes. I believe we are postponing those.
We are, I apologize. We do have a draft of the May 11th, 2022 minutes, but I had not had an opportunity to review those prior to the submittal to the Planning Commission. So we will submit those at the July meeting.
Thank you. Board reports.
At their last Board of Supervisors meeting, the Board of Supervisors approved the Ioka dog kennel as recommended by the Planning Commission. That one, of course, was located 1492. And they took formal action on the St. Dunstan's application and denied the application.
Okay, thank you. So item 5 is Troy Plot, CVE North America, Inc., 117 Mackey's Lane, Fairfield, Virginia, application for special exception permit 4.05. I guess that's MW megawatts, maybe AC solar project, public utility in the agricultural and general uses A2 zoning district.
Yes.
I believe staff is going to be
Yeah.
making a presentation and then the applicant.
Yes, I have just a brief update. No, that's okay. Carson, come on up. At the May 11th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission continued its public hearing. Similar comments were made at the continued public hearing as the April meeting. Concerns that were expressed included view shed concerns, noise associated with the equipment, depreciation of home value, increased traffic and loss of farmland. Approximately 20 citizens spoke in opposition of the project. The public hearing was closed at that time. The commission postponed taking action on the application in order for the applicant to modify photo simulations to include power poles, transformers, inverters, etc., modify the grading plan for improved legibility, explore issues associated with disposal, recycling of panels, and provide additional information on the types of undercover/herbicides that will be utilized for the project. The requested updated information was included in the June 8th, 2022 Planning Commission package. With that, you have the draft conditions that could be utilized for the special exception are in your package. And at this time, I'd like to turn the floor over to Carson with CVE Solar. And Carson does have a PowerPoint presentation, so I'm going to share my screen. All right.
Thanks, Chris. Yes, sir. Hello, good to see the commission again for a third time. Carson Wynand, Senior Business Developer with CVE. I have a brief presentation for tonight. I would like to review some of the revisions we've made since the last meeting, some of the supplemental materials we've drafted, and then I'd like to reiterate a few additional points at the end as well. So in the time since the last meeting, we've revised our site plan. Included in the revised site plan is an optimized grading plan. The next slide covers that. We've revised the landscaping. So in response to Mr. Lucas's comments, we moved the landscaping outside of the stormwater basin, which is reflected with this border. So the stormwater basin is now behind the landscaping, hidden from view on Mackey's Lane. And we've added a pollinator-friendly seed mix to the site plans, which is captured right here. And I have a slide on that as well later. So for the grading plan, previously our grading plan covered grading the entire project area. Now we took a closer look. We're only grading where needed. So the existing contours on site work in our favor. They move west to east, north to south, all towards the stormwater basin. And we're using those contours to our advantage. We're only grading in certain areas now, and there's no need to import any topsoil. So we're just moving around the existing topsoil in those areas. It's much less impact to the site. There were some questions about how we're going to execute interconnection. And we ran title searches on the Troy Plot Park property and the Joseph Harmon property. And the title search came back with a wide-ranging easement executed with Dominion on both properties, giving Dominion the rights to perform this work and maintain the wires and maintain the vegetation around the wires. The pertinent relevant language is highlighted there in yellow. I don't think I need to read it, but it's a very wide-ranging, all-encompassing easement utility and ingress and egress easement with Dominion into perpetuity. There were some comments made at the last meeting about traffic. Just wanted to reiterate, the only period of time where there will be any material traffic is during the construction period, the 6-month construction period. And this table was put together by our contractor, outlining the number of trips needed to visit the site during the 6-month construction period. After the 6-month construction period, there's almost no traffic. There's a couple of trips per month for routine maintenance. Months 1 and 6, the mobilization and demobilization months, there's about 10 to 20 vehicles per day. I've added this column. So this is just total vehicles per day. Previously, it was heavy vehicles per month, which is the far right column. This is just total, all vehicles per day. So during the key months of construction, months 2 to 5, there'll be about 30 to 44, 45 cars per day. Not, 80 cars per day, which I think was mentioned before. The pollinator-friendly seed mix. So this is something that we install. We plant underneath the solar array within the project area at all of our sites. This is a seed mix that's been used on other solar projects throughout Virginia. It's harmonious with the natural ecosystem and the weather patterns in Virginia. It's mostly blue grama, which is in the top right corner there. It's a wispy grass type plant that grows to about 3 feet high. 91% of the seed that we'll be laying down will be blue grama. 4% of the seed that we'll be laying down is butterfly milkweed, which is in the bottom right corner. You can't see the label, but the picture with the butterfly and the orange flowers is butterfly milkweed. And then the remaining 5% of seed mix is a mix of partridge pea, sundrops, and hairy beard tongue. And these grow naturally. We will mow or implement livestock grazing at least twice per year to maintain this vegetation. And that is actually included in our special exception conditions. So that will be a requirement per our permit that we maintain this vegetation at least twice per year. There's been some questions about noise. We hired a noise consultant, Burns and McDonnell, to conduct a noise study for us. It's not just the noise emitted from one piece of equipment. There's obviously 27 inverters and 2 transformers. So what's the cumulative noise level given all of that equipment co-located in the same location? That equipment is located Right here at this white target area, there was 4 locations where they're a national reputable noise consultant, Burns and McDonald. There's 4 locations where the noise levels were calculated. Location 1 is the access entrance, measured a level of 37 decibels. Location 2 is the Clements property, closest to the equipment, 51 decibels. Location 3 is the Harmon property line, 38 decibels. Location 4, I believe, is the Kent Gibson property, the furthest away, 27 decibels. So these levels are low. These are levels that would not disturb the neighborhood. Here's a recap of the noise levels at the various locations, and below is a table from the American Academy of Audiology. It's a decibel comparison table comparing decibel levels to everyday things that we're familiar with. So you can't see at the bottom here, but that Kent Gibson property, 27 decibels, is equivalent to leaves rustling or a whisper. 51 decibels on the Clements property, the highest decibel level, they're equating it to moderate rainfall. So we think this is within any zoning rules that would be in place for noise levels. We think it's not changing or disturbing, changing the character of the neighborhood or disturbing any of the neighbors. It's because this equipment is so far away from those location points that it very quickly dissipates to a lower level. Herbicides, we've provided materials on the herbicides we're using. So we provided an herbicide implementation plan, and we provided the safety data sheets on the different herbicides we plan to use. We plan to use a water-based concentrate. At most, it would be applied at 10 to 20 gallons per acre. In reality, it's only applied as needed in problem areas, most likely with a backpack style sprayer. So this is not a wide-ranging, wide-sweeping spray of the entire field of herbicides. That's not what we're doing. We're going targeted with our application. The water-based concentrate is 93% water. And then the most active herbicide is glyphosate, which is a low residual contamination herbicide. I've been told if it's actually 0 residual contamination, it only becomes active once it makes contact with the weeds, with the leaves of the weeds. It should be harmless to the site, to the soils on site. We've also included some some rules for us regarding our use of herbicides as a condition to the special exception. The applicant shall minimize the use of herbicides to maintain the property and shall only use herbicides with low soil residual. For example, glyphosate-based solutions. The applicant shall not allow or cause herbicides to be stored at the property. All herbicides shall be handled and utilized with applicable laws. There's been a lot of talk about property values throughout this whole process from the very beginning. The neighbors are concerned about a negative impact to their property values. We've compiled here 3 different studies regarding property values at homes directly adjacent to solar farms, constructed solar farms that are exactly similar to ours or very similar to our site. And we believe it is a common misconception, given this data, given these real studies, this detailed analysis of real sale transactions of homes near solar farms, that it's a common misconception that solar farms decrease nearby property values. So this first study, an independent property analysis performed by Richard C. Kirkland of Kirkland Appraisals for a 120-acre solar farm in Grandy, North Carolina, for a solar developer named Ecoplexus in 2016. After reviewing the sales transactions immediately following the construction of the solar farm, surrounding the solar farm, it's his professional opinion that the solar farm proposed at the subject property will maintain or enhance the value of adjoining or abutting property, and that the proposed use is in harmony with the area in which it is located. I like that line, in harmony with the area in which it is located. At the end of last meeting, that's the point we've made as well. This is not a residential subdivision. There's no strain on services. There's no additional traffic. There's no noise, dust, smell. Once you decommission the site can be returned to an agricultural farming use. The criteria for making downward adjustments on property values, such as appearance, noise, odor, and traffic, all indicate that a solar farm is a compatible use for rural residential areas, transition areas, which is similar to the area that we are in here on Mackey's Lane. This is an aerial of the site. It was granted a permit and constructed successfully. It's a very similar neighborhood to what we have here in Rockbridge, a mix of low density residential and agricultural land. The property is surrounded, there's homes completely surrounding the property. And there was no decrease in the property values of those homes after the construction of the solar farm. And I have these studies. If you'd like copies of them, I can provide them as well. A second study performed by Patricia McGarr, National Director of Valuation Advisory Services at the consulting firm Cohn Resnick. She performed a property value impact study for a solar project in Illinois in 2018. She looked at 78 sales at the properties surrounding 5 separate solar farms in Illinois and Indiana for a solar developer called Cypress Creek Renewables. She came to the conclusion, giving the real data, the real dollar amounts for what these homes were sold for, no consistent negative impact has occurred to adjacent property that could be attributed to proximity to the adjacent solar farm with regard to unit sale prices or other influential market indicators. One last study I'd like to mention by Andrew Lines. He's a principal of the valuation advisory services at Cohn Resnick. A little more recently in 2020, he did a study in Michigan. He looked at 105 transactions on adjacent properties near 8 different solar farms across a handful of different states, Virginia, North Carolina, Illinois, Minnesota, and Michigan. No measurable impact on property values was demonstrated in these analyses. Local assessors have noted that there is no evidence of negative property value impacts due to proximity to a solar farm. And local brokers have noted that there's been no effect on pricing, market time, or conditions of sale. Market timing or conditions of sale. We'd like to reiterate the special exception conditions that we will commit to and we will have to adhere to keep our permit valid. It's included in the documents Chris Sladen gave you. It's right here in my hand. It's very robust. It's very detailed. It's comprehensive, spans 5 pages. It was originally carried over from Augusta County just to the north and implemented at other shared solar facilities successfully. And we've revised it and enhanced it for our specific site. So included in that, contribution for public improvement, the revenue share, which will generate $185,000 approximately in revenues for the county. Commitment to securing local subscribers. So we can secure any Dominion customer, but we will start and focus in on Rockbridge County. We secure these customers through traditional marketing methods, email marketing, newspaper ads, online ads, mailers. All of those can be targeted to Rockbridge. Decommissioning plan, we've supplied a decommissioning plan with an estimate. We will make sure that gets put in place, either as a cash agreement or a bond. We will disclose the module specification, the composition, what we're installing on site, along with the safety data sheet. We will limit construction hours to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Saturday. And we will adhere to certain levels of site maintenance. 2 things I've already touched on. Maintenance at least twice per year, and then only using low residual herbicides. We wanted to focus in though, spend a little extra time at this meeting on our condition regarding panel disposal. So we've made this condition a little more specific, a little more detailed. It's regarding our tiered approach to panel disposal. First, we will use best efforts to identify one or more charitable organizations to whom the panels may be donated, or a third party to whom the panels may be sold. If we can't achieve that within 3 months, once the decommissioning process has begun, we'll have 1 month. We'll give notice to the director, and then we'll use our best efforts for a minimum of 1 month. Could be longer. Maybe the county wants to work with us for a longer period of time to make sure we follow through on this, to recycle the panels. And then in the case that A and B aren't achievable, then they're moved to a landfill, disposed in a landfill. So we've put some time limits, some constraints. It's more clear now as a condition to the special exception. We've done a little bit of research on these organizations, ways we can follow through on that condition. So for example, there's a nonprofit called Good Son. They focus on donations. They donate used panels to whoever needs them. Schools, shelters, non-governmental organizations within developing countries and within the US. An option to sell. An example of an option to sell our used equipment would be Energy Bin. This is an online active business-to-business marketplace where solar developers, contractors, they're buying, selling, donating solar equipment. And then there's a whole handful of recycling companies, recycling options. 2 of them that we've spoken to are We Recycle Solar and Green Clean Solar. They have active processing facilities. These 2, their facilities are located in Arizona and California. So options exist. These are all real options to fulfill that condition. We revised 2 of our 6 visual simulations. This one, the 2 that we revised are from the south looking north, one at the access entrance and one from the Kent Gibson property. But I will just quickly go through the others, which are looking east to west, to show that the visual impacts, this is on the Clements property, visual impacts from the east are very, very limited. This is the site without vegetation growth. This is the site with mature vegetation growth. Yeah. And then, okay, here's one of the simulations we revised. This is right at our access entrance. The poles were added. That was the big revision. This is where our above ground utility equipment will be stored on these above ground poles. And then it will dive underground along the access road to our inverters and our transformers. Once these poles end, it will dive underground. And this shows the landscaping now in front of the stormwater basin as well. All right, this is the other visual simulation from the Gibson property, and similar visual simulation now with the poles. And this is where our utility equipment will be hung on these poles, and then these poles we believe will be needed to extend the line on over to our access road. There's 2 poles here. It might be difficult to see, but where my cursor is. And then with vegetation growth, that's what this looks like. All right. This is unchanged, further away, further south, and really nothing would change with this visual simulation. There's no view of the poles. All right. Finally, we want to close by saying that we believe this site is compliant with the zoning code and with the comprehensive plan. There's a lot of other uses that are permitted by right within the A2 district that would have more measurable impacts to the neighborhood, to the quality of life of the neighborhood in terms of sight, smell, dust, noise. It could be a warehouse, a 10-acre warehouse up to 35 feet high. It could be a turkey house, a chicken coop, a fruit cannery. All of those would bring increased traffic, increased noise, smell, dust, ruckus to the neighborhood. That would also make it very difficult to revert back to an agricultural use. I think once it gets developed, you wouldn't farm it again. Similarly, with the small subdivision, you could build 8 homes up to 45 feet tall each within the A2 district. And once that's constructed, there's no going back to farming. It's also expressly discouraged within the rural planning area, within the comprehensive plan of residential subdivision. And they say that here. Within the rural planning area, per the comprehensive plan, they want to eliminate scattered residential uses on small lots demanding public services. A shared solar farm is a great way to do that. Maintains the low overall, a solar facility maintains the low overall impact to agricultural land. There's pollinator-friendly vegetation. There's landscaping added. There's a clear decommissioning process that once removed, the land could easily be returned to an agricultural use. And of course, there are real measurable economic impacts, economic and social impacts as a direct result of the solar facility. The social benefits. We're obviously promoting the use of clean energy in the county. So there's a massive amount of clean energy generated. As I've mentioned before, it's about 10 million pounds of carbon per year that will be removed from the Dominion grid. That's equivalent to planting 200,000 trees. And Dominion customers can reduce their monthly electricity bills every month for the next 25 years. Economic benefits, cash contributions directly to the county, $185,000 through the revenue share, and then an increase on the taxable land value with no increase in the cost of services to the property, to the county. We estimate the increase in tax to the county due to the increase in land to be about $175,000 over the life of the project. So, given all that, we believe the special exception should be granted. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, do you have, we just go on now and just bring it back here since we're done with the public?
That is
hearing?
correct. The public
Okay.
hearing was closed last month.
Gotcha.
Maybe just, yeah. Thank you.
So we will bring it back to the board. I guess I want to start with Mr. Lucas, since this is in your district, if you have anything to say, discuss.
I still get a little indigestion, I guess the best to say, about property values and what it's going to do to the neighbors who were there and the adjoining neighbors who were there first. That's kind of where I'm at with that. So.
Do you have anything, Mr. Whitmore?
I mean, I think that you guys have done as best as you can as far as mitigating impacts to the neighbors. It may not be the best spot in the county, but I mean, I do think it's compliant with the comprehensive plan. Certainly, it's not in my backyard issue for you neighbors, and I understand that. But you know, I think you've done the best you can as far as offering what you can.
Mr. Alvin?
I have the same sentiments as David. I do feel like that your company has went the extra mile in everything that we have asked you to do. And I have been pleased with all of that. I do have one question for you, just a curiosity question for myself. The depiction here of these power line poles, what type of three-phase line comes from there? Is it 480? Is it 208 or there's no neutral on these poles?
0.8 kV.
Okay, but what is the voltage itself?
Yeah,
It's 480, 1280. Okay. Okay. Well, there's no neutral on those polls. That's just why I was concerned, was just asking, just for myself. Thank you.
Okay. My concerns are the same that I shared in the last meeting, that, this didn't really mitigate anything. I will clarify, I was the one who said something about 80 cars, but that was 44 coming and going is 88, is 88. So that's where that number came from, not the number of cars, but we were talking about the number of trips in and out. I was a little surprised to hear the number about 4,000 cars coming and going there from VDOT. That was a very big surprise to me, because I had no idea though that was that much traffic on that road there. Further, one of my biggest concerns is the decommissioning plan. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the figures being in construction. I think it's very hard to, extrapolate out and know what those really are. And I'm very concerned that Rockbridge County will be the ones who are actually doing the decommissioning, because we have no guarantee that you guys are going to be around to take care of that. And I think more than likely it's going to end up in the landfill. So I'm very concerned. Right. That's possible. Right. I'm sorry.
Public comment period is over.
Oh, right. Sorry. So, basically I have the same concerns. I'm happy to, like I said, I think the presentation was great. I just don't think this is the right place for this project. I think that the negatives to the neighborhood, to the neighbors outweigh the positive to Rockbridge County. And that's just my personal, from what I'm reading, and I've done lots of studies. And I thought that was interesting for them to say they thought it could have a positive impact on property values. Never have heard that before. So that was news to me as a realtor. I was kind of surprised to read that. So definitely want to read up on that. But if somebody wants to make a motion here or more, one more question.
Chris, did you get anything back from Fred?
Yes, thank you. So staff had reached out to Mr. Fred Dudley, Director of Blue Ridge Resource Authority, BARR, to review the associated issues with disposal and recycling of panels. He had talked to a consultant service that we utilize and all other similar landfill operations. The current anticipated lifespan for the landfill is 38 to 42 years, I believe. And these panels would be, for term, landfillable. The preference, obviously, for BRAW or for the Blue Ridge Resource Authority would obviously be to recycle the components that are recyclable, but based on the information provided, they are able to go to the landfill.
Thank you. More information, the better. So you want to make a motion since it's in your area?
Not a problem. I'd like to make a motion to recommend the Board of Supervisors that the special exception permit for development of a 4.05 megawatt AC solar project on approximately 25 acres of a 95-acre tract identified as tax map number 51-A-24 at 117 Mackey's Lane, Fairfield, in the South River District South River Magisterial District, located in agricultural and general uses 8-2 zoning district per LDR section 603.03-9 be denied.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One dissenter.
And so you're in
Nay.
favor, so nay. Okay, so we have 3 ayes in favor of denial and 1 yay. Okay, thank you. Okay, we are on to item number 6, the Rusty Roost Farm LLC, 100 Equus Loop, Natural Bridge, Virginia, public hearing. We're going to have a public hearing on that. It's an application for a special exception permit for a campground in the agricultural and general uses A2 zoning district. We will start with a staff and applicant presentation.
Yes, ma'am. And I apologize. I do not have formal presentations prepared for y'all this evening. But this application, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the package if you don't mind. All right, this is an application for a campground in the agricultural and general use zoning district. That's the A2 zoning district. Bear with me here. And we'll get down to this application. We will start with this display. All right, Mr. Larry, this is again, a Rusty Roost Farm LLC application for a special exception to operate a campground in the agricultural and general use districts. That's the A2 zoning district. Mr. Larry Lang is in attendance this evening of Rusted Roost Farm LLC has made an application for a special exception permit to operate a campground in the A2 zoning district. Property is owned by Rusted Roost Farm, Equerry Loop, Rockbridge, Virginia. Property located on the north side of Route 11, approximately 0.09 miles from the intersection of South Lee Highway and Broad Creek Church, further identified as tax map number 97-14-A. Per section 603.03-15 of the County of Rockbridge Land Development Regulations, campgrounds are used by special exception in the A2 zone. Per section 302-24 of the regulations, campgrounds are defined as any plot or of ground used, maintained, or held out to the public wholly or in part as temporary accommodations of tents, expandable camp trailers, travel trailers, converted buses, or other such devices that may be developed and marketed for camping, whether privately or publicly owned, and whether such use as accommodations is granted for free, granted for free or for compensation. As far as the proposed conditions that could be utilized for this particular application, we have 4 conditions that could be utilized. Number 1 would be substantial compliance with the site map titled Rusted Roost Farm LLC Development Plan dated May 25th, 2022. That's, of course, the plan that's in your package and shown here on the screen. It outlines the property, 50-acre parcel, and it shows the approximately 255 by 130 area outlined in magenta in the northwest corner, that the area utilized for camping. Number 2, campground is limited to 2 camping spots to include RV vehicles and or primitive camping. The use of portable generators is prohibited. On board or what's commonly referred to as built-in RV generators would be permitted. Campground is limited to blank number of vehicles, not to exceed blank number of people, and put those blanks on there at your discretion. And number 5, finally, the approval contingent upon final VDOT, Office of Fire and Rescue, Emergency Management, Health Department, and Building Department approvals. With that, I'd like to turn this portion of the presentation over to Mr. Larry Lang with Rusted Roost LLC. And I will go ahead and pull up your picture for your presentation, sir. There you go. Turn the floor over to Mr. Larry Lang.
Good evening.
Welcome.
The property in question, it is Rusty Roost Farms, but it operates as Main Gate Equestrian. The picture you see is Main Gate Equestrian. We're a full service equestrian facility. Recently purchased the back 80 acres behind the 50 acres that Main Gate sits on. We put on a lot of horse shows yearly, clinics and things like that. We have a huge following to come to these shows. And once we did close and get the property, there was a huge interest in being able to come there for the weekend, board their horses in the far back facilities, which are boarding facilities, and potentially camp and ride the trails, the 80 acres of pre-existing trails and stuff on that property. Obviously, we didn't have the permit to do that. So that's what we're here to ask for, along with just the ability to do that and monitor that and stay up with the rules required. We're putting those together also just in case we do get approved. And it would be limited, as Chris said, to 2. We don't want to be a huge campground. We don't want to interfere with our borders. They're important to us. We have 40-something horses there with a lot of borders, and what we do there is important to us. So this would be a sideline of business to gain additional revenue for the trails and for riding. as well as being a mile off of 81. We're convenient to the interstate and also convenient to Lexington, and these people can go down there and spend their revenue there as well. We do have requests and had requests for overnight travelers to stay there. That once again would be no more than 2, and that would be a temporary thing, and they would be out the next morning. That's pretty much it. I want to keep it brief.
Thank you. Okay,
Stop sharing this particular screen and just to get everyone, or make sure everyone's oriented. The area that's outlined in magenta on the development plan is this area here in front of these 2 run-in sheds, I believe is the proper term. Pull that back up if needed, and we can certainly pull the package up as well.
very good. At this time, we're going to open the public hearing. If there's anyone physically present who would like to speak. Have anybody signed up?
That's,
Please
yes.
come up. Yes,
You
just
could
come up and say
state
your name and magisterial district. Paul.
You have to say your name when you get to the.
Oh, I'm so
there
sorry.
you
My
go.
name is Paul Estabrook. I'm not used to these things.
Okay.
Maybe some people remember my father. He had the Virginia Gourd orchard there before it changed hands. My family still has some property there, and the only question that we have as far or curiosity about this is as long as there's no further growth as far as making more campsites in the future. That's kind of the only question that we have about that. Like, as far as it, like having it maintained to 2, I don't see any real problem with that, honestly. But is there going to be anything like a loophole or anything that would grow that business to be more than 2 campers at a time, or would there be anything that would allow that to expand? That's the only thing that, the only real question I have. And I know we had a very pleasant conversation on the phone, but that's the only concern that I really think that my family and I would like to know about. If whatever happens, we just want to make sure that this is really just a small thing, as mentioned, that there isn't any loophole.
Address the board.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank
Well,
you.
that's basically all I had to say.
Okay,
Thank you very much for your
Thank
time.
thank you.
Could I say something?
Please.
I don't think everybody realizes that when we do these electronic meetings, the people online can't hear and they cannot use these for the minutes if people don't come up and speak into the microphone and stay facing forward, speaking into the microphone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
for,
you.
okay. Anybody else to speak?
Anyone else in the public would like to speak at this time?
Okay.
Let me run through the attendees. Does not look like we have any attendees. I'll turn the floor back over to the.
Okay. So if there are no
Oh,
further.
I'm sorry. We do have one written comment. Thank you,
Okay.
Zach.
So we received an email on June 8th today from Keith E. Putbreeze. It says the following comments represent the position of Keith E. Putbreeze, Barbara M. Putbreeze, Elizabeth A. Barker, and Gary M. Barker with addresses of 170 and 175 Cross Country Lane, Natural Bridge. It says, though we are not directly adjacent to 100 Equus Loop, we now share a property line via land parcel 97A14, recently acquired by the same owner. We do not foresee any adverse issues resulting of a special exception being granted as requested. In fact, we have been under the assumption that camping was already permitted, i.e. grandfathered, as it has been a consistent amenity for previous owners of that facility. The parcel at 100 Equus Loop is not governed by the restrictive covenants that the recently acquired 97A14 parcel is. So long as camping is confined to parcel 9714B, we take no exception to a special exception being approved. Thank you for your time. Keith Putbreeze.
Thank you.
Thank you for that reminder.
Okay.
And that is the only email correspondence that we had on this particular application.
Okay. With no further comments, the public hearing is closed and we will bring it back to the board. If y'all have any questions for the applicant?
I think we probably need to answer his question about.
Yeah, could you come back up to the mic for a minute? Yes, please.
I mean,
Gentleman's question.
Right. That was kind of one of my questions too. If you've
Sure, I
acquired
can-
the other 83
well,
acres.
I can probably be
Yeah.
maybe resourceful in that question.
Okay.
So as long as these draft conditions stay, obviously you're making a recommendation with draft conditions. So if the Board of Supervisors approves, if you make a recommendation to approve this, and the Board of Supervisors follows that recommendation with these proposed 5 conditions, one being substantial compliance with the site map titled Rusty Roost Development Plan, that's in the package. And number 2, pertaining to this is campgrounds limited to 2 camping spots to include recreation vehicles and or primitive camping. So it would be the same process to modify these as we're going through right now. So there is a mechanism in order to modify these conditions, but it would entail the same public hearing notice, the same certified mail, the same posting of the property and holding another application,
If
essentially.
you wanted to expand
if
into
you-
that 83 acres, it would be another special exception.
Yes, that would actually be a whole nother application process because this application does not pertain to the 80-acre parcel, 79-acre parcel in the rear.
Just wondered if that was something that you thought about for future.
It is absolutely no desire of mine to do that, because if I did any more than what we're doing now, my main business comes from the borders. The board
It would
leave, and
impact them.
They would leave if I
Okay.
did something like that. And I have no intentions of increasing it anymore than that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions up here? Questions? Okay. Do we have a motion then?
Well, the one, as usual, I'll be the doom and gloom person here.
Okay.
Whatever we do follows the property. So Mr. Estabrook's question about would there, could there, might there? Yes, in the future it may be, because if this gentleman 10 years down the road decides he's done and he wants to go and somebody else comes in and wants to play campgrounds, then they'd still have to come before us, but it could possibly go down that path. And just so you know.
But there's a process for that.
But there's
It's
a
not, he
process
couldn't
for it, but I
just
just
start
want to
doing
make sure
that.
everybody realized, and he realized, because that did answer your question, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I'm good then. I just want to make sure
Perfect.
he realized that
Go ahead.
for him. So
Oh, we need to talk about
number
the
4.
limits to the number of vehicles. Do you have a proposal? I mean, I guess off the top of my head, I was thinking 4, just because I was thinking 2 per campground, and then number of people, I was thinking 10, but does that seem reasonable? Or? Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking if a couple came with kids or something like that, we just need to think about that. Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. And do we have a motion, Mr. Whitmore?
Sure. I make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the special exception permit for operation of a primitive and RV campground in the agricultural and general uses district A2 per LDR section 603.03-15 on the 50.28 acre tract of land at 100 Equus Loop, Natural Bridge, Virginia, identified as tax map number 97-14-B in the Buffalo Magisterial District, be approved with the following conditions. Substantial compliance with the site map titled Rusty Roost LLC Development Plan and dated May 25th, 2022. Campground is limited to 2 camping spots to include recreational vehicle and or primitive camping. Number 3, the use of portable generators is prohibited. On-board or built-in RV generators are permitted. Number 4, campground is limited to 4 vehicles and not to exceed 10 people. Number 5, approval contingent upon final VDOT, Office of Fire Rescue and Emergency Management and Health Department and Building Department approvals.
Do we have a second?
second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, that passes. Thank you. Okay, so we are on to number 7. Select Equine Properties LLC, 100 Cross Country Lane, Natural Bridge, Virginia. Application for special exception permit for a campground in the agricultural and general uses A2 zoning district. So we have another campground. And Chris is going to make a presentation.
Yes, ma'am. This is adjacent property highlighted here in magenta. And I'm going to go to the prepared development plan that is referenced. I'll just start with this one. Mr. Rob Robertson with Select Equine Properties LLC has made an application for a special exception permit to operate a campground in the agricultural and general uses district, A2 zoning district. Property is owned by Select Equine Properties LLC, 100 Cross Country Lane, Natural Bridge, Virginia. The property is located on the west side of South Lee Highway, approximately 0.12 miles north of the intersection of South Lee Highway and Broad Creek Church Road. It's further identified as tax map number 97-14-A. Per section 603.03-15 of the County of Rockbridge Land Development Regulations, campgrounds are used by special exception in the agricultural zone. I don't think the last application, we reviewed the definition of a campground, so I'll spare that one. In this particular purpose, the proposed conditions that could be utilized are very similar, slightly different, but very similar to the previous application. Number one, substantial compliance with site map title Select Equine Properties LLC, development plan dated May 25th, 2022. Campground is limited to 2 recreational vehicle camping spots. The use of exterior generators are prohibited. Onboard or built-in generators are permitted. Guests are limited to blank number of consecutive night stays, and campground is limited to X number of vehicles not to exceed X number of people. Approval contingent upon final VDOT, Office of Fire and Rescue and Emergency Management, Health Department, and Building Department approvals. With that, I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Rob Robertson, owner of Select Equine Properties LLC. And I do have your PowerPoint presentation ready.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners, and thank you for allowing us to make this special use exception permit application in person to you. As it says, we're Stonebridge Equestrian Center. That's what we do business under. We are Larry's neighbor. And in fact, Larry purchased that 80 acres. He and I just completed a big land transaction. I have to admit, when I got this letter, the notice, I was a little bit taken back because what it said is a campground. And I'm like, my God, what are our neighbors going to think? We don't want to be a campground. I noticed the KOA guys are here. That's not what we do. Okay. We are a limited overnight RV destination. People are looking for experiences and that's what we provide. So if I can, this is a site map prepared by Perkins and Orison. Actually, do we have a pointer or something, Chris?
We can trim.
That's okay. So it's this acreage here outlined in black, but we also purchased those 4 large paddocks from Mr. Lang. And then this says Select Equine Properties back here. That's actually part of a 92-acre parcel that Mr. Lang purchased from us. So we kind of jiggered some things around there. I think it's important to note that Cross Country Lane is 100% owned by Select Equine Properties, and it is 100% maintained by Select Equine Properties. That is subject to litigation right now with my neighbors because they are to share in maintenance, and they do not. How do I advance this? Just hit enter?
Yes.
Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're doing out here. I used to travel all over in my corporate world when I was with Norfolk Southern, and I did that by airplane. Well, the pandemic changed a whole lot of things, and I wasn't going to get on an airplane, with a pandemic or a virus going around. But so I actually rented an RV. And we toured New England and had just a wonderful time doing that. And I said, what a heck of a nice way to travel. So what we've found out is we've got this niche market of people that really don't want to go to campgrounds. Okay. They want to go to a destination and experience things. So typically what we have found with this, and we've been beta testing this market for a little while now, they're generally very well-to-do owners of big Class A, B, and C motorhomes and fifth wheel RVs. They're generally retirees and families that, again, as I said, are just looking to experience different things for themselves. They don't like crowded campgrounds, that they're not, again, I'm a member of KOA, okay, guys? But they just don't like that experience. That's not what they're looking for. So it's a niche market, and I really think it's an opportunity for other, what I would call venue owners in Rockbridge County. They love our horses. They want to come groom our horses. They want to ride our horses. They want to walk them in and out of paddocks and do that. They love our farm. They love our views, and they're looking for a quiet place. Okay. So here's just, as I say, they love our views. They took this picture last year, and it just kind of shows our barn complex. This fellow right here is holding one of our national championship horses of the Sweetbriar team. And he's a retired corporate pilot. And, it's probably a $600,000 RV that man is in right there. They love our farm. These folks came in from California. He has been cycling across the United States, and they wanted to hike on our farm. And these folks, the lady to the left is from Canada. The folks from the right are from California. So just by doing this, we increase kind of the business that we're in, which is really the equine business. So what we provide for a fee, we have two spacious gravel locations around our barn area. We typically do not charge for a first night. Now, if they require service, we put in 50 amp service down there. We have a nice clean bathroom, washer dryer. If people need to wash clothes or something like that, we'll allow them to do that. And we have nice hot, cold running water in our main barn if they need to wash dishes or something like that. We're a community-minded company. You can see me probably out on my Kubota between Fox Hunt Road and the KOA campground picking up trash. And I probably do that about once a month because I don't like it. Okay, it's not representative of what we want in the corridor. We actively promote the businesses in the tourism corridor. Our guests are required. That is the one requirement that they have. They must make a donation, and our charity of choice is Rockbridge Area Relief Association. We think it's a really good organization. We're fully licensed and insured. We've run the traps with VDOT. We've had the fire department out. We've run the traps with the health department. Chris, am I missing anybody there?
No, sir.
Okay. So each one of our guests, as Chris said, gets a packet, or Crystal will tell you gets a packet. And what we do is promote the businesses. And we ask that they visit and that they, make purchases at these locations. I think the one most important thing to note here is everybody needs to know if there's a 911 emergency, where they are. Okay, where they are, and so EMS can get to them. So what we're a private equestrian center, 24.6 acres. We provide riding lessons, limited boarding. I do some overflow boarding for Larry at our private barn, hiking, biking, and again, we are a limited overnight destination. 2 spaces, up to 3. We would allow up to 3 nights if somebody wanted to stay. We are not a campground. I want to repeat that this, I think, is an opportunity, Chris, for you all to maybe look at naming this something else. We don't provide long-term space. We do not allow primitive camping. We do not allow the dumping of waste on our property, no open fires, and no generator use of any kind because of the hay and sawdust around our barns. So again, we found this. Sometimes you need a good disaster to create a market opportunity. And I think the pandemic did that. I think potentially it's a new source of revenue for the county as well as us. There is no impact on our neighbors. They are required. Our road is posted at 10. It's a private road and posted at 10 miles an hour. And no one is allowed to exceed that. Some of our neighbors do. And again, that's a subject of a lawsuit. There's no appreciable increase in traffic. At most, you might have 4 trips a day because somebody might be pulling, one of their passenger vehicles behind these, and they may want to go out to Lexington or to go visit some of the other feet or venues in the corridor. And again, we think it's a great thing for the charities that we represent, because each month we make a sizable donation to the Rockbridge Area Relief Association. So with that, I would ask that you give consideration to granting our application.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So we're ready to open the public hearing, Chris? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open the public hearing. If is there anyone here physically present who would like to speak? Anybody signed up? One? Come on up and state your name and magisterial district.
Good evening. I'm Crystal Clark from the South River District, and I'm here speaking on behalf of my vested interest in this area of Rockbridge County and for my passionate desire to support the county that I grew up in, of which I'm now proud to be a resident again. I'm one of the partners in Rockbridge Tourism Corridor Partners. We were formed in late August of last year. In other words, I'm a partner that owns 4141 South Lee Highway, which is across the street from Select Equine Properties. I'm certain that many of you know this address probably by heart or certainly by sight, because when we purchased it, it was very overgrown with buildings, acres of trash, and a dilapidated cabin. The desire of my company or our company was to restore this particular property to a condition which would make neighbors and neighboring businesses proud. We've done that. We worked tirelessly to do that, and we will ensure in the future, when it is used again, that the neighbors and the county, are reflected well. So I'm saying all of that to speak not only on my behalf, but also on behalf of one of my partners in this business, which is Phil Ogden. And Mr. Ogden owns a very sizable brick estate that adjoins Select Equine Properties. So on behalf of our business, we feel the business objective of Select Equine Properties is noble. And it simply adds to what our company's passion is to make the people and businesses in this corridor proud to own property here and to continue to bring people to our community without negatively impacting our neighbors. I'll also speak to you as a seasoned business owner of 18 years in the northern end of Rockbridge County, miscellaneous. I've invested heavily over the years in bringing people to that end of the county. Now as the owner of KC Collections in Buchanan, just 2 exits south, every customer is told about Rockbridge County and miscellaneous. Many visitors ask about taking Route 11 instead of getting on I-81. So why would I want to send people through a corridor where I felt the businesses there detracted from my very mission, which is always to promote tourism in every venture I'm in? From his presentation, Mr. Robinson noted that he's bringing people from all over the country to his location in our county. He heavily promotes all area businesses and attractions and provides them with an information packet. If you haven't seen his property, the pictures don't do it justice. I hope you'll drive Route 11. You'll only, of course, be able to get a glimpse because, as you can tell, it's well off the road. Tourists are eager to get a different experience, to have travel independence at an ever increasing rate after the pandemic, and to find unique, safe experiences to do that. Mr. Robinson can provide that. He's told you, he's not interested in making a profit. He's given back to the community with donations that are collected. In summary, I hope that you all will not discourage this type of behavior. It's an entrepreneurial spirit, one that promotes our county and gives people a tremendous experience while they are here. In the end, there will be people who will relocate here because of this experience, and it'll help enrich our local economy. Let's give people such as Mr. Robinson a pat on the back for opening his property with only a noble interest as the main objective, to promote Rockbridge County. Let's let others see and experience what many of us have taken for granted on a daily basis, maybe even for our whole lives, this beautiful community in which we live. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have anybody else
Anyone else
in the
public
room that would like to speak?
Check
Okay,
online.
anything?
We do not have any attendees, but we do have 2 letters that were received.
Okay, staff is going to read the written comments.
So the first one is from Keith E. Putbreeze, dated June 8th, 2022. It says the following comments represent the position of Keith E. Putbreeze, Barbara M. Putbreeze, Elizabeth A. Barker, Gary M. Barker, with addresses of 170 and 175 Cross Country Lane, Natural Bridge. As previously mentioned by our legal counsel, H. David Natkin, an open case exists between the aforementioned parties and Select Equine Properties LLC, Roberto H. Robinson, acting as a managing member. One of the topics of the case is a dispute relating to maintenance of the shared driveway. This is the same driveway that has been used for months as campers with travel trailers and Rockstar-sized RVs access 100 Cross Country Lane. We have witnessed consistent use with as many as 4 camping units stacked onto the property. A camper was occupying the property as recent as early this morning. Campers have become a nuisance to neighbors by stirring up excessive dust and getting lost while looking for the campground. 2 such instances resulted in RVs backing into the Putbreeze yard, with each leaving imprinted tracks and one almost backing over an ornamental tree. Additionally, Roberto H. Robinson and Tracy B. Robinson, being listed as members of Select Equine Properties, executed a protective covenants and memorandum of agreement document on June 26th, 30th, and 30th, 2014. The same document was executed by Keith E. Putbreeze. The document was recorded on July 25th, 2014. Page 2 under restrictions states, quote, 7, no single wide or double wide homes or house trailers will be permitted on any parcel. This shall not preclude a licensed horse trailer, manufactured utility trailer, or an occupied travel trailer to be situated on a parcel. Travel trailers may temporarily be located on the property and occupied during periods of construction or visitation by friends, unquote. Lastly, there's a portion of property between 100 Cross Country Lane and 170 Cross Country Lane that is protected from development with the intent to prevent encroachment of the home at 170 Cross Country Lane. There's a concern that an initial approval of a special exception would open the door to that area eventually being occupied by campers. Because of these reasons, we do not support a special exception and believe the application is inconsistent with the guidance of the protective covenants. We reserve the right to change our position in the future should any changes to the protective covenants be agreeable by all parties governed by the document. Thank you all for your time, Keith Putbreeze. And the next email is from Donna Stallnaker, dated June 8th. Good afternoon. We have read the proposal to operate a campground on the property adjacent to our property. The private road Cross Country Lane is within 100 yards of my home. From the land diagrams included in the agenda, any vehicles entering the property will turn towards the area designated for RV camping at a point directly across the property line from my sunroom and pool area. We're concerned about the dust as the road is not paved, the noise of overnight campers, and potential security risks. The proposal is for 2 RV spots. Is that the limitation of the special permit, ? Or just the maximum number of RVs, ? In other words, will additional tent campers be authorized? In addition, we have concerns that once a small number of RV campers are authorized, a future request to increase the number of spaces will be approved due to the existence of these proposed spaces. From the original letter attached to the agenda, it is obvious that this is not to support the agricultural business of the horse farm, but to generate business and support tourism. Unfortunately, we do not support the request and ask that you withhold approval of the special exception application. Donna M. and Edward H. Stallnaker.
Okay, thank you. So I think that's all the public comments.
That is, yes, ma'am.
So with no further public comments, the public hearing is closed. So we'll bring it back to the board here. Do you all have questions about this application?
Guess my biggest question would be the protective covenants that are in place.
Can I address that?
Maybe in a minute, but Chris, do you have any information on those that are?
Well, only the information that were received via email this afternoon. And I will say I passed these along via email to all planning commission members. I apologize, but I incorrectly merged all documents together, and I thought they were all pertaining to Select Equine with the email that I provided to y'all. Obviously, the first one was pertaining to the first application. With that being said, I don't know anything more. I've not reviewed the restrictive covenants, and I have not any more than the email has. With that being said, it's my opinion that there are two separate issues, one being a private civil case and then one the zoning issue at hand. With that being said, I do think, and I've relayed this to Mr. Robertson, that the shared use right of way, as we know, it is indeed a shared right of way, and there is some land use implications. As far as staff is concerned, there is some land use implications, zoning principle, land use implications of that shared right of way. Ms. Huffman might have something to expand upon as far as the restrictive covenants and how that pertains to this process.
Yeah, I'm not sure we have a great deal of information on it, but restrictive covenants are private. They are entered into by typically a developer who has those private restrictions apply to the various properties that come under that set of restrictions. The county would not have the authority to enforce or take any action related to those covenants regardless. There's certainly nothing to preclude you all from asking questions or considering the impact on the neighbors as a result of their joint use of that road, however.
Okay. Any additional questions? I would kind of agree. I thought that's a private matter. It's something they can take up down the road, if we choose to approve it, that's just something else I think that would come before.
It is. I just didn't want to be caught up in the fact that we may approve something when those things have really been told to us, maybe just a little extra time to look at it. I think your project is fine, and I'm of the opinion that it should be approved, but I really don't want to get us in a pickle some way. That's just.
It would not, it wouldn't cause us any issues legally if we choose to move forward with recommending approval of this.
Okay.
It
My
should not.
understanding. Yes.
It should not.
It's a private road,
It is.
so that he owns
Well,
and maintains.
yeah. It is a private road, shared right away on that private road, correct?
I own the right of way.
Okay,
Now,
If you could come up and speak into the microphone, please.
thank you.
I own the right of way. I own the property. They pay no taxes. They pay nothing in maintenance. And again, that is the subject of litigation with Mr. Putbreeze and Mr. Barker. And they are absolutely wrong on the facts on the covenants. Okay. My attorney is Osterhout Ferguson Nat in Roanoke, and they were representing us, and they have been told that it's not a violation.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, if it's a deeded right, if it's a deeded access through that, you could still own the property and they would still have a right of way through.
They have a deeded access. That's correct.
So they do have that. And if it's nothing in writing, then they wouldn't have to keep up the road.
Well, actually, it is in writing in the covenants.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think we.
That's beside the point. Well, it is and it isn't, because it's going to have some negative, it's going to have some impact on neighbors. Or could. That's the only thing I see. How much, I don't know, but it could. I don't care about to protect the covenants. That's a private matter. I don't care. We ran into this one time before.
Right. I was going to say, I agree with that. I mean, we're talking minimal. We're talking about campground is limited. Are we talking about the same thing? Are you looking for 4 vehicles, 10 people again on that one restriction?
Yes, ma'am. Only 2. We will never ask to have that increased. Again, I'm looking to be retired and moving on. I just think this is an opportunity that, quite honestly, we just want to explore. But yes, no more than 2 RVs, no more than 4 vehicles, and I think 10 people is absolutely reasonable. We are adding in our application that we will not have primitive camping and will not allow the use of any kind of generators on board or otherwise.
3 consecutive nights too. I think you already addressed that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Looking for where it says the 2 RVs.
That would be
There it is,
number.
2, it's number
Yes.
2. I see 2 recreation vehicles. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Okay. Any additional questions here, Mr. Whitmore?
No.
The only thing that he mentioned himself, he didn't want any generators permitted. So I think we can scratch that if we're going to
Well, it
Going
says the
down-
use of exterior generators is prohibited. Onboard or built-in generators are permitted. So
Right.
do we want to leave that on board? I mean, if they have a generator in their RV, they should be able to use that, right?
No, ma'am, sometimes I'm sorry.
Sorry. You're gonna get your exercise. Up, down, up,
Understand all the
down.
procedures, But
No.
no, ma'am, we won't allow it. Our insurance won't allow it because our horses are in sometimes at night. We have hay and sawdust in our barns and in our adjacent hay building. So that's really our insurance requirement that no generators are allowed.
And he's providing a 50 amp service for
Right.
each one of those places. So
So we just need to put the word not in front of onboard or built-in generators are also not permitted by number 3 there.
We could just modify number 3, the use of generators is prohibited.
Period. Okay.
Take exterior off.
Okay.
And if possible, I think it is beneficial, to review the section of code. And Mr. Robertson and I had several conversations on the word campground. It's something, these are draft conditions, and I want everyone to understand that these are draft conditions associated with the permit, and they're draft until the Board of Supervisors approve the ordinance with these draft conditions. So we don't have the ability, we don't have the ability to limit it. We have the ability to recommend that these draft conditions move forward. But obviously, if the Board of Supervisors would approve this application or any application without any conditions associated with the schematic site plan, number of campground, a number of
Add
RV
things,
sites.
take things away.
Exactly. They have the
It's up
ability to do
them.
that. Yes, ma'am.
We just make a recommendation. Sure.
And it does, I will agree, it does, and we're aware of this, but it does create business for us, if you will, because on both these applications, we got a fair amount of phone calls and the comfort level. We explained that this are draft conditions. We explained exactly what I just explained. They're draft until the board approves them. But with that being said, once that's, I think the concerns were reduced in some cases, not particularly this application, but in some situations with other campgrounds that we've done, when you start talking about, other campgrounds we've done has prohibited RVs to begin with.
Right.
No
It's
toy
just
haulers,
primitive,
it was just
right.
straight primitive. So I think there's definitely a hierarchy of campgrounds. With that being said, it's good that both these applications fit into the campground definition, because if they did not fit into the campground definition, they wouldn't be permitted by special exception nor permitted by right
At all.
until you did a zoning text amendment. So it's actually a good thing that falls under in my opinion, it's a good thing that falls under the campground definition.
Okay. Mr. Alpin, would you like to make a motion?
well, you know what? I wasn't keeping up, so I don't have my
I'll give
draft.
it to you right here.
If you want,
Here
I
you go.
can. It's not a problem.
Huh?
I'll do it. It's not a problem.
Well, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve I make a motion to recommend the Board of Supervisors that the special exception permit for operation of an RV only campground in the agricultural general use district A-2 per LDR section 603.03-15 on the 24.62 acre tract of land at 100 Cross Country Lane, Natural Bridge, Virginia, identified as tax map number 97-14-A in the Buffalo Magisterial District, be approved with the following conditions. Substantial compliant with the site map titled Select Equine Properties LLC Development Plan and dated May 25th, 2022. Campground is limited to 2 recreational vehicle camping spots. The use of generators is prohibited. Guests are limited to 3 days to 3 consecutive night stays, 3 days. Campground is limited to 4 vehicles and not to exceed 10 people. Contingent upon final VDOT, also fire, rescue and emergency management, health department, and building department approvals. Anything else we need to add, Chris?
Not that, that's everything we discussed.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Oh, we got all kinds of seconds. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for your time and your efforts there. Number 8, agenda item 8, County of Rockbridge. We have a public hearing for the application for a zoning text amendment to define and provide for an auction facility by special exception in the general business B1 zoning district. Staff has a presentation.
Just review, this discussion started 2 months ago. The board on the agenda, the planning commission instructed staff to, at the first meeting, we dealt with this, planning commission instructed staff to research other localities. At last month's meeting, we researched other localities. We provided multiple examples of auction sales facilities, different definitions, different terminologies. The planning commission then instructed staff to advertise for the proposed zoning text amendment. So with that being said, let me share my screen if you don't mind, and we will briefly review.
The cheese stands alone back there again.
Punishment.
All right, so what we obviously we did exactly what the planning commission instructed. We defined auction facilities as under proposed to be under 302.19A. Auction facility is defined as a building area, including outdoor sales area used for the public sale of goods, wares, merchandise, or equipment to the highest bidder. And then as instructed by the planning commission, we provided that use under 605.03-26 of the land development regulations. And that would require a special exception application for any proposed auction facilities in the business zone. So it's a fairly cut and dry definition and then process moving forward.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone physically here to speak?
Just listening to that definition you were reading, is livestock included in that definition?
No, sir.
Goods, that's not goods.
State your
wares,
name.
merchandise.
Sorry, Sam Bennett. Yep. Is that something that just to make it all encompassing?
So we provide for, and I might have to get the ordinance out here. The answer is no, the goods, wares, merchandise, or equipment. So in that one, the answer is no, but we do have, I'm gonna stop sharing for a second so I can look at this. We do provide that use, I think, as a use by special exception in the general agricultural zoning district. But that would not be part of this zoning text amendment. But let me confirm that. I mean, I can confirm that it's not part of the zoning text amendment, but in the agricultural general use district currently, which would be a different area. I thought livestock auction markets is a use by special exception in the agricultural zoning districts. Currently, hold on, there might be something in business. Bear with me here, because I think that based on my previous research, we do have. Currently livestock markets are a use by special exception in the agricultural zoning district. So that provision's already in there. This proposed zoning and text amendment does not include that use.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Okay. Do we have anybody else to speak? Do we have anybody online or on the phone?
We do not have anyone in the public that would like to speak. As far as online, we do have one gentleman online, it looks like. If you would like to make a comment pertaining to the public hearing pertaining to auction facilities, please raise your hand. Give them a few minutes or a few seconds. Not seeing any, turn the floor back over to the chair.
Okay. So we will close the public hearing with no further comments, and we will bring it back to the board. Do y'all have any questions? I think this is just exactly what we asked for, so we will let.
Would you like me to make that motion?
Would you please make that motion? That's the teacher in me, like, okay, your turn.
I make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the proposed text amendments to LDR section 302.00 to add a definition for auction facility and to add section 605.03-26 to allow auction facilities as a use by special exception in general business, B1 district, be approved.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. So that passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we are on the Ramakrishna LLC subdivision review, Econo Lane, Route 739, two proposed lots in the general business zoning district.
Yes, Russ Orson is here representing Ramakrishna LLC. The current property consists of, bear with me here, I'm gonna put the proposed subdivision plat on the screen. But first, I'm going to zoom in and get the current acreage. The tax map that we're proposing to subdivide is tax map number 61A2-4-2 and currently consists of 28.95 acres located off of Econo Lane, which is essentially a service road to the former Econo Lodge, now Motel 6. Great visibility along Route 11. Let me share my screen and I'll put up the actual subdivision, the proposed subdivision. So this is, as far as an overview map, the Ramakrishna LLC parcel is highlighted in orange here. You can see the location of Econo Lane going to the Motel 6. This is the State Farm insurance agent facility there, formerly Redwood Restaurant. And of course, Greenhouse Road going to the high schools that direction. Normal notes as far as the subdivision plat goes, and this would be the actual subdivision. So of the 28-acre parcel, this parcel has been previously subdivided. And we, the subdivision agent, I should say, have the administrative approval for a single lot subdivision in a calendar year. We also have approval for large lot subdivisions, family subdivisions, a couple other approvals. But once you do one per calendar year per the ordinance, the remaining of the property or further subdivisions are required to go to the Planning Commission for recommendation and then going to the Board of Supervisors for essentially final approval. So what is being proposed, this of course is great news. The previously subdivided parcels in the process of I think being transferred. I don't think that's happened quite yet, but it's going to be we have approved plans. We, the TCO, or I should say the TCO Tourism Corridor Overlay, have approved plans for Dunkin' Donuts here. And then there's another essentially quick service restaurant that's proposed here that essentially mirrors the Dunkin' Donuts. Delighted to say that the 3.5 acres, the TCO Tourism Corridor Overlay, has approved plans for a true hotel at that location. And then this is currently being marketed. No formal site plans have been developed or no formal applications, I should say, have been submitted to the TCO. So essentially what we're doing is we're having a new tax parcel of 1.56 acres here in the middle, a new tax parcel of 3.45 acres here, and then the residue of the land is 23.94 with a total acreage of the 28.95 acres. With that, I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Russ Orson with Perkins and Orson to review any further details.
I think you covered Chris, Russ Orson, Perkins and Orson. I think Chris has covered it. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Pretty straightforward.
Straightforward.
Okay.
And the ordinance does call, just a little bit further information, that the ordinance does call for a preliminary subdivision and then a final subdivision to come back through. This one is a final subdivision. This is considered a final subdivision plat. So I'd like this to essentially include the preliminary review and the final review at the Planning Commission level. Therefore, it could be forwarded along to the Board of Supervisors at the end of this month.
Agreed. Yeah, no reason to prolong it. Okay.
And Chris does such a good job of moving this along, and you guys do, but it's a by right subdivision, so it's a little funny. We don't do these in most localities because since it's by right, it's administrative. It's fine to see you guys, and I know you guys like to know what's going on. And since we do such a good job of moving it on, it's not that big a deal. But as we revise our ordinance, we might want to consider just
going to say maybe, yeah, we need to keep that administrative. So I guess we can address that when we look at the ordinance. Okay. Thank you. You guys have any questions for Mr. Orson? No?
Thank you.
Mr. Whitmore, would you like to make this?
Sure, spread it around. I make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the plat showing subdivision of the property of Ramkrishna LLC for lots on the south side of Econo Lane in the Cars Creek Magisterial District be approved.
Do we have a second?
I will second it.
And all approved? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you for doing it every month too.
Thank you for waiting till be last every month.
Yeah, we talked about that this morning. You asked when he was on the agenda. I said number 9.
Oh, we could just sit, you could just sit in the back with that.
Number 9 of 11 items on the agenda, and the 11th one being adjourned, of course.
So we are looking now at item number 10, which is the comprehensive plan update discussion.
Yes, I would just, it's a very brief, I've talked to you all individually about this some throughout the day, if you will. I don't have much prepared, but I did want to give the Planning Commission and this upcoming Board of Supervisors meeting, we're having a similar discussion. Just essentially state that we were working on starting to work on, I should say, the comprehensive plan update. So the current comprehensive plan was approved by the Board of Supervisors in 2016. And essentially it's a 5-year plan. I believe it's a safe statement that says that as per state law, it's required to be updated every 5 years. So that obviously the math is 2016 to 2021. I believe it's a fairly common, the US Census due to the pandemic, the U.S. Census numbers were delayed on getting out, so fairly significantly delayed on getting out. A large part of the comprehensive plan, obviously, is population, and we rely on that census data. So it's not uncommon for localities to postpone their review of the comprehensive plan depending on the timing because of the census data. So the comprehensive plan has always been on the website. What I'll do is between essentially now and next week, I'll email each of y'all a link to the comprehensive plan, and if possible, I'll send it to you via PDF. And I'd like y'all to just start looking at it, start thinking about suggested edits. It's a fairly stagnant document in some cases, but the land use chapter is really the more fluid document as far as mapping associated with land uses, developing suburban service areas, rural service areas, village areas, and rural areas. So I would certainly like to start meeting with y'all on a 1 and 2 basis, essentially individually, to look at y'all's individual district and look at the existing land use, the existing zoning, the existing true land use, if you will, and then have some discussions. And this will be a public process moving forward. We're anticipating holding public meetings, obviously, and then hopefully utilizing the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission as a resource to help out with the staff levels. They're very familiar with comprehensive plan updates. And I know there is a long list because it seems like all the localities that they serve, the localities they serve in the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission, a lot of them have reached out at the same time to say, hey, we need some assistance with the comprehensive plan update.
We need to get on their schedule.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
no, yes.
Very good. Thank you.
So with that, the follow-up will be sometime, this week, next week, I'll email a follow-up email with a direct link to the comprehensive plan and probably attach a few maps on it as a separate document that can be worked on.
Okay. And prior to adjourning, I think Mr. Alphen has a statement.
Well, my statement is this is my last meeting. I'm going to resign. And I have multiple reasons, but I just don't have the time for this anymore. And when I came, it was sort of a favor to step in. I didn't want you to be without a Walker Street representative. And I hope I have done all that I can. And it's been a real pleasure.
Yes,
And I'm just not able to do this due to my time constraints.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody in line for this? Is this going to be, I just don't know how many months we're going to be waiting for
I know it's a safe statement. I'm gonna lean towards Mr. Alphen on this. It's a safe statement to say Mr. Supervisor Lewis knows about this resignation.
He is aware.
He is aware of it, and so therefore we will start immediately with those discussions of finding a replacement.
And I assume it's the same for Ms. Hines. You know, they're working on that.
She most likely told y'all as individuals, but Ms. Hines has requested that she not be reappointed to the Planning Commission. With that being said, it was essentially time frame. She was willing to be reappointed for an interim basis. And when I say interim basis, we utilize 1 to 3 months. And so her last meeting was actually the last meeting was May 11th, 2022 was Ms. Hines's last formal meeting under her old term. At the last Board of Supervisors meeting, they reappointed Ms. Hines to serve, knowing it was an interim basis. And so with that being said, I've had multiple conversations with Supervisor Ayers, and she's reached out to several individuals on a possible appointment to the Planning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Thank you again for your service.
Absolutely. And both of them,
appreciate
I
that.
think
Yes.
I will say that both Kimberly and Ms. Hines have been Ms. Hines and Mr. Alphen have been great resources to the county. I
Absolutely.
think everyone, was aware that they did their homework. They came with good questions and always put their best foot forward. So both of them will be, Timmy, you will be sorely missed next month. I'm not sure we'll have Kimberly Hines next month or her replacement, but I communicated with Ms. Hines this morning.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will, make a motion?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second, and
Thank
all
you,
in
Tim.
favor, woohoo, we're adjourned.
Hey, you gonna
Thank
make it last